This is an egg, and this is you. It's also me. In fact, it's us. It's all of us. The story I want to tell you is about the egg and us, what kind of an egg it is, and why it's important to us. This is a very special kind of egg. It's a nest egg. And a nest egg is a great thing to have around. You put it away, and when you need it, there it is. It has a way of hatching out into wonderful things, like a trip abroad, or a new home, or a college education for the youngsters. And there's a very special thing about this nest egg. It's made up of United States savings bonds. More than 40 million Americans own nest eggs like this. 40 million Americans have chosen to put their money into U.S. savings bonds because they have faith in them, because they believe in the nation's future. Busy and prosperous, with a growing economy based solidly on a sound dollar and on competitive enterprise, free to make the most of the country's immense natural resources. Out of the mountains and streams, the hills and plains and forests of our continent, we are producing power and raw materials in such abundance as the world has never seen. With these, we have built an industrial establishment of tremendous and constantly increasing productivity. We are turning out the biggest volume ever of goods and services. We are continually adding to our productive capacity, too. More factories and more machinery. More people are at work today, earning bigger take-home pay than ever before in our history. Family incomes have never been higher. And what's more, people are confident that this prosperity is healthy and is going to continue. They know that our economy has made its greatest gains in these last few years, since inflation was checked. And they have faith in the future, theirs and the nation's. They show it in many ways. For example, look at home building. Last year alone, over 1.25 million new housing units were built in this country. People are having more children, bigger families. More youngsters born in recent years have been second, third, or fourth-born children, especially among middle and upper income levels, a reversal of an historic trend. Finally, and most importantly, people are saving more. The nation's nest egg is growing. Today, people have over $235 billion put away in bank deposits, in securities, and in currency. Savings are increasing because Americans know that the dollar is sound. They are confident that they will be able to buy just as much with it tomorrow as they can buy today. And these savings, piling up because people believe in our country's future, have the effect of making that future all the more secure. Here is a vast reservoir of purchasing power. Because of it, people can afford to buy goods as they need them. They can plan ahead for homes, for cars, for many things. This, in turn, means that industry can plan ahead, knowing that there will be a continuing market for what it produces. Out of these savings, furthermore, comes the financing necessary to enable established industries to expand, or new ones to open for business. As long as people put their surplus money into savings, or invest it, so that it is producing more goods and services, it helps keep the wheels of industry turning and helps stabilize the economy. It is when there is too much spending money around, competing for too few goods, that the price of everything goes up and the value of the dollar goes down. That is why savings are of such vital importance to the nation, and one kind in particular, United States savings bonds. U.S. savings bonds are one of America's most important institutions. They are not new. During the war, people like you and me bought and held some $30 billion worth of E-bonds. These helped to pay for the planes and ships and munitions that were the price of victory. They did a tremendous amount to absorb surplus money at a time when consumer goods were scarce, money was plentiful, and inflation was a constant danger. Then came the end of the war. The experts had figured out that with the end of the war, most of us would stop buying bonds and cash in those we had. Instead, people held on to most of those they owned and went right ahead buying more. They had caught on to the nest egg idea, and they liked it. All this meant that of the $275 billion of national debt, incurred largely as the cost of winning the war, a healthy percentage could be placed with individuals on a long-term basis. Less needed to be concentrated in commercial banks. The effect was to promote economic stability. Today, this is even more important because we must maintain great military strength. Currently, we are spending for national defense about 2/3 of the government's operating budget, and this is a tremendous figure. We are constantly trying to buy more security for less money and to improve our outlook for peace through diplomacy. Nevertheless, our military expenditures will continue high. When this results in a deficit, it adds to the size of our national debt. When there is a surplus, the national debt can be reduced. Meantime, this national debt must be managed, and managing the national debt is big business. Interest payments on it alone amount to $200 a second, $12,000 a minute. It is vital that a debt of this proportion be managed soundly so as not to upset the country's economy. Who owns the national debt has a lot to do with our economic stability. The government naturally must get a great deal of what it needs from the nation's commercial banks. But for the dollars it borrows from the banks, it must exchange its own securities. On these, the banks can then make loans and extend credit. Under certain circumstances, even up to 5 or 6 times the value of the securities. For all practical purposes, the effect of this credit extension is to increase the country's supply of money. And when the supply of money begins to outstrip our productive capacity, look out for trouble. So whenever it can, the government borrows from other sources that are not inflationary. By far the most important of these are you and me and about 165 million others like us. Individual citizens who are willing to lend some of their surplus money on a long-term basis at excellent return. Out of a total national debt of $275 billion, some $65 billion is owned by you and me and people like us. And every penny of this is anti-inflationary, helping to maintain the sound dollar. The sound dollar, which is the basic essential of a healthy economy. A lot of other investors outside the banks, corporations, insurance companies, foundations, and so forth, hold $70 billion more. Much of it on a long-term, non-inflationary basis, too. Another $50 billion is held in the government's own investment accounts, such as Social Security and Veterans Insurance. That leaves some $65 billion that the banks own, plus an additional $25 billion held by the Federal Reserve System. It is important that this proportion of bank ownership be kept in line if the dollar is to remain sound. The best way to do this is to sell more U.S. savings bonds to more people. That's why the United States Savings Bond Program means so much to every man, woman, and child among us. Our present standards and our future security depend on it in larger degree than most of us realize. But those trained in economic matters realize it, and that's why so many of the nation's business, labor, and agricultural leaders, including bankers themselves, are solidly behind the U.S. Savings Bond Program. Thousands of banks across the land are working actively to promote the government's bond program. They sell millions of savings bonds cheerfully because they know it's good for the nation. In addition, 40,000 companies, large and small, have adopted the payroll savings plan for their employees. The roster of these companies is an honor roll of the best in American business and industry. Through this plan, millions of working men and women buying bonds regularly are piling up nest eggs, ensuring their own security and peace of mind for tomorrow. One among the 40,000 companies is the Burroughs Corporation. Its president, John S. Coleman, is one of the sincerest believers in the benefits of the savings bond program.
I am convinced that the United States Savings Bond Program is one of the most important forces in our economy, making for a sound dollar. This sound dollar is the economic bedrock our enterprise stands on. Anything that helps keep it secure is greatly to our advantage. With the sound dollar firmly maintained, we in business can concentrate on our main tasks, on making better products and competing in the nation's marketplace. We can go ahead with confidence, developing new business, expanding plant capacity, planning for a future we can count on, creating new jobs that will be stable and lasting. Because the United States Savings Bond Program is helping to maintain this indispensable condition for prosperity, we stand completely behind it. But beyond this, there is another reason for our belief in it. All business management has a direct interest in helping employees to save. Any man who has a nest egg put away is bound to have a certain peace of mind. He feels easier about his family and freer of worries about the future. He is a happier man at home and at work. So it is a matter of great satisfaction to us at Burroughs that 80% of our employees are systematically saving out of their pay through the U.S. Savings Bond Plan. I might single out one example at random of what the payroll plan can do for a man. The person I'll take, though I could have taken a dozen others, is Norman Jensen. He makes precision parts for one of our new electronic business machines, the Burroughs Series G high-speed printing and punch card accounting machine.
I've been buying bonds and a payroll plan for about 15 years now, and I want to tell you it makes a big difference in my life, to me and my family. This is my family here. That's my wife, a picture of my daughter. She's 13 now, and my son, 9. And this is kind of an old snapshot. Kids are a lot bigger now. Now about what the payroll plan has meant to us. Look, this is our house. It's over in Staten Island. We bought it about 8 years ago. We wanted a place of our own. I had the bonds ready to make the down payment, and so we bought it. Then I used some more of my bonds to make improvements on the place. Just lately, for instance, I installed a new heating system. I've got a nice property that's worth a lot more than when I bought it. I got it pretty well paid for by now, but I'm still on the payroll plan, and I'm going to stay on it. The kids are growing up fast. Ellen is 13, Peter is 9, and it won't be long before they'll be going to college age. I intend to see that they get a good college education, the both of them. My savings bonds are going to pay for that, the way they paid for so many of the things in our family that we've enjoyed for the past 15 years.
A house, home improvements, education. These are just a few of the meaningful advantages of the United States Savings Bond Program. By joining this program, Burroughs people like Mr. Jensen and people everywhere are building financial security for themselves. At the same time, they're helping to promote the economic well-being of the country as a whole.
Business leaders like Mr. Coleman, hundreds of them in influential places throughout the land, have helped to make the United States Savings Bond Program the economic asset of the nation that it is today. But an even greater part has been played by the thousands of volunteer workers in every state and every community. The men and women who, in face-to-face selling in shops and mills, in banks and schools, in factories and offices, have sold billions of dollars worth of savings bonds, motivated purely by a sense of civic responsibility. But for all that has been done by those who have given their time and their energy, more remains to be done. The United States Savings Bond Program needs our help, your help. Your recommendation to a fellow employee or a neighbor can mean a lot. And in giving it, you can be sure that you are recommending one of the best investments possible. You will be helping to justify the confidence of all of us in the American future. This confidence, backed up by millions of individual nest eggs, is perhaps the most dynamic single element in our economic life. It is because we believe in the American future that our towns are growing and businesses expanding. It is why we are owning more and pleasanter homes and having larger families, why more children are getting more and better education, and why there is more and better opportunity day by day for those growing up. With your help, the United States Savings Bond Program will continue making its vital contribution to the nation's economic progress, helping to guarantee that our American life shall long endure in peace, in well-being, and in freedom. So, for the best things in your life, be ready with United States Savings Bonds.